this is your assignment due in a couple of days. All right. So, all right, fine. I'm gonna send through a draft of the assignment, but the favor that you guys can do me, of course, is to not give it away and give it to other people, because you're gonna put us into trouble here with lecturers with regards to plagiarism. So it's just gonna be a guide. So part of what I'm gonna be doing today also is directing you as to where you can get the information in the textbook, right? And then I'm also gonna provide the information slightly different from what you have in the textbook, because in any case, you shouldn't exactly put it the same way that you have it in the textbook. You just need to explain and show that you understand the concept, right? So that's basically what we want to discuss tonight. Right, so it has two questions. Each is 25 marks. Each of the questions is 25 marks. So the first one is, suppose sub-Saharan African region intends to adopt a common currency for its member countries, as it would be economically beneficial for the participants or for the nations. What is the arrangement called? Right. So this is fairly easy. It's a very good start on this one. So you're basically looking for an issue where there is a common currency, right? So I know we haven't covered that, but if you just peruse through the textbook and you search for anything that's on common currency, you realize that when we discuss a common currency, we call that a monetary union, right? We refer to that as a monetary union. So the only thing that you're going to be doing there is, in your view, would sub-Saharan African region have any chance of benefiting from this kind of arrangement, and why? So you are basically talking about the benefits of this kind of arrangement. And then, of course, you're not talking about these benefits in general, right? You're not talking about these benefits in general, but in relation to the sub-Saharan countries, right? How you think this is going to help them, right? And then also talk about the potential challenges there, right? What issues you think might arise. So you could maybe come up with 5 on both sides. You can just look them up there, right? You can just look them up. So B and C is basically asking you the same thing there. Except that on question text of that you are doing there, make reference to this region, this particular region that they want you to answer about, right? And then the third part, which is part C, you are just talking about the advantages and disadvantages, which is in general a common currency, right? You are basically looking at that there in general. So that's the big difference. But you realize that you are basically discussing the same thing there, right? You're so in the textbook there, you are basically just going to be searching for you are basically just going to be taking for the monetary union, right? You can basically just check for the monetary union, discussing with sub-Saharan issue, and then common currency. When you discuss a common currency, then you are talking about this in general, of which part of a common currency is the monetary union that we discussed, or which we just mentioned there. So that's what you are doing. So from the questions that I've been getting so far, it doesn't seem like people have got issues with question number one, right? It doesn't seem like people have got issues with that one. It's fairly straightforward, right? And then on question number two, I don't know if you have any questions on number one before we leave that one. Or what are your thoughts on that one? If you've checked it out, what are your thoughts on that one? You are basically just checking that, right? Okay, someone is about to join, I think. Somebody's about to join. Let me just let them join, and then so that they don't lose anything. All right, it's Lilo. Lilo is joining. I'm just gonna wait for him, so because he was pestering me about this assignment, so I believe he might have 2 or 3 things to say on that. All right. Lilo should just do the thing. I'm just waiting for his mic there. All right, Mpilo, good evening. Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome to the class.
Yes.
How are
Thank
you?
you.
Okay, so we are here discussing these assignment questions here. So we're so far talking about question number 1, right? We're so far talking about question number 1. We're basically talking about question number 1. All right, so basically just to fill you in on this one, the question number 1 is asking us to describe what this sort of arrangement is, where a region intends to adopt a common currency for the members, right? And then this is what we agreed. We did say this is a monetary union, right? And then now we are saying what are the benefits of the monetary union and how is that going to be beneficial to the sub-Saharan region, African region? How is that going to be beneficial? So we said we can, if a question says in your view, how do you think this is going to be beneficial, or is there any chance? So the word chance there means that you should look at this on both sides. So it can go either way. So which is why you don't just need to discuss the benefits of that, but talk about the demerits of that again, demerits of such an arrangement. Right. So that's going to be about the monetary union. So and then the last one talks about the common currency, right? The common currency. And then you will realize that the points are basically the same. The points that you find on B and on C, they are basically the same, but your approach to the question is what's going to make a difference. Again, you don't, like in this instance here, you want to strictly make mention of this region, right? How this region is going to benefit. So keep talking about the region. That okay, this is how it is going to benefit, and these are the potential demerits for the demerits of such an arrangement. And then on this one, on part C, we are talking about a common currency. Yes.
So
Yes, I'm
question
listening.
1C is in relation to every country.
Any
Because I
country, right?
switched, yeah, I switched B and C.
Sorry, say again.
The risk and the benefits associated with the adoption of a common currency. Number C. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I should have made reference
Sorry,
to countries in general, not to sub-Saharan Africa.
Yes. Here talk
Yeah,
about
but I didn't. I switched the two. I use sub-Saharan Africa in C, and then I use the countries in general in B. So I should switch those.
Okay, yes, please do. Because on E, on B it's specific to
Yeah, but I used Sub-Saharan Africa and C. Because I thought in question 1, when they said suppose the Sub-Saharan African
one, yeah.
region, yeah,
Give out some-
you should answer A, B, and C relating to the topic question in 1.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, hello, sir.
Yes.
My
In the-
question
what you call
is,
that? Okay.
okay, my question is on C as well. And if
Yeah.
I made reference to the EMU, would I have been off? I made it as an example or a case study and gave the maybe advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah, that would work. But then let me just clarify one important difference there. Let me just clarify one important difference there. To check this, we're talking about the sub-Saharan region, which is intending to adopt a common currency for its member countries as it would economically benefit the participants. So in most cases, why this would automatically want to fall under a, excuse me, why this would most likely fall under a monetary union is because of the intention that's behind that. They are basically wanting to bring their monetary decisions together. So it's not just a common currency that's involved here. Of course, it involves a monetary union, definitely involves a common currency, right? But there is also coordination of the monetary policy decisions, etc., by a centralized authority with that one. And then when it comes to a common currency, it's just basically, I mean, multiple countries that are using the same currency without necessarily sharing any monetary policy decisions. You see that it's very similar, but it's not exactly the same thing. You see. So which means adopting a common currency is fine, and as a common currency, you are simply just using the same currency. You're basically using the same monies, right? I think like if you look at I'm not too sure now if Namibia was using rands just like South Africa. I can't remember now too well. But supposing then it's just a common currency. But if the countries then intend to adopt a common currency, then now it has to be a monetary union because you people will need to harmonize the monetary policies of your country. So that one now falls under the advantage basically to the monetary union. And then a common currency, very much related, but you are talking about the risks and benefits associated with just with the adoption of a common currency, which is more general than the first one, but sharing a lot of points in common. That's just it. Mpilwenhle,
Yes.
Pamela,
Yes. Hello.
what did you think of the question? Yes.
May you repeat again?
I know you did this question already. What did you think of it?
Well, I am not sure with the answers that I gave, and especially in question 2, I had challenges on
Yeah.
and
We'll jump
and
to question 2
my
also now.
background.
Mhm.
Yes.
We'll
And
definitely
with
jump onto
question 1A, I think I wrote something different. I heard you speak about
What did you
a
write?
monetary union, and my
What did
response
you write on that one?
question 1A was quite different. I don't think I have the same answer as you.
Which one do you have?
Okay. let me just try and check. Oh,
You want that it will be interesting to know what you have on that one.
I'm just checking. Oh, yes. Assignment. Wait. Oh.
It will be
Wait.
interesting to hear the kind of answers that you guys that you thought of on that question.
Hello? Yes.
Yes.
For me, like,
All right, it's fine. You will let us know later in the class the answer that you came up with. It will be interesting to know. So the draft that I'm
okay.
gonna give, by the way, is basically gonna give you guidance on how you are going to answer that. So you can, I'm hoping if you can handwrite it. I'm hoping if you can handwrite it. I know you guys have got very nice handwritings. So whatever I'm gonna type, you can just handwrite and see what you can change, what you can add on that. Some points, if you feel like you wanna stress some points more, then you can obviously stress them some more. And where you feel I went overboard, then you can obviously try and trim it down. All right, Nation A is a small nation that operates under the principle of free movement of capital and fixed exchange rates. Right, the country desires to reach a full employment level of national income with equilibrium in its balance of payments. Which relevant macroeconomic policy would you advise A to use to achieve this, and why? Right. So when it comes to macroeconomic policies, right? All right, maybe let's see what's on part B. With the aid of a diagram, explain how nation would use the relevant policy mentioned in A to achieve full employment and the level of national income with equilibrium in its balance of payments. All right, that's fine. So A and B is just one question. A and B is just one question. So they are basically saying, what can you do? And then we explain what they are doing with what they should do with the aid of a diagram. Okay. I think I've got the textbook open here so I can give you guidance on that there. Okay, so maybe to start off there, Pilehle was about to talk about question 2, so let me allow her to talk, and then I'll pick it up from there. And anyone else, please. Anyone else? A comment on
Yes.
question number 2. I think you did ask me some questions on it.
Yes. It was question 2A. Came with the answer of expansionary fiscal policy.
Strategy.
And then on the graph, that's like question 2B, they ask for the graph of balance of payment and
Okay.
I think question 2A, the answer that I got from question 2A, that will be that graph and balance of payment. So I wasn't
Oh, I see.
sure with the balance of payment graph how it will look. And
Got you.
also
So we are here.
like
We are seeing-
the description also after drawing the graph, I think it has to align with I mean, the graph has to align with the notes that you will write down
Mhm.
describing the graph that you have
think it what?
produced.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. No,
So I was really confused.
let me take you through the graph that you should take. All right, no, it's fine. Let's just, this is the simpler of that. So it's a lot, you can draw the graph, it's usually very easier, a lot easier for you to explain the graph. All right. Okay, so this is what we are discussing, open economy. So, all right, let's see. So the trick then, now we are looking for where we have fixed exchange rates. That's what we are looking for there. So first of all, just to grab a start on that, I'll just talk about what you see here because obviously, if the question is about using macroeconomic policies. So macroeconomic policies, a certain level of income has got to do well and carefully. So whenever we talk of those monetary policies, let me see if we have the word right there. This is where you have it.
Oh yeah.
Right. Macroeconomic policies, and those are the ones that you normally want to use. I'm going to say why this is important with reference to the graph that we are dealing with. And then, of course, with free movement of capital. All right. We're going to also talk about why that. That's important. The other thing we want to talk about is the graph that basically has three curves, which is the IS, the LM, and the BP curve, which is the balance of payment curves. So basically those three curves in one. That's what you are dealing with there. With goods market. And then the LM market, and then the balance of payments, obviously. You want an equilibrium there on the balance of payments. You don't want either a surplus or a deficit. You just want it to be right there. So we are plotting all that there in relation to the interest rates and the income levels, the national income levels, your GDP. So this is what you basically get. So I think you do remember this had a negative relationship and this one had a positive relationship. I think the negative relationship here was basically in relation to investment spending, right? Investment spending. So we basically knew that whenever the interest rates were down, the investment spending was high. So hence there was that negative relationship there. And then when it comes to the interest rates and the money market, this one also was fairly simple, right? Whenever the interest rates were high, they were always corresponding with a very high level of income, right? That was going with a very high level of income. So hence, there is a positive relationship there. So whenever you see the income levels high, then you would expect that the interest rates are also going to be high. And why is that the case? Because here we are plotting an equilibrium. right? So we always need to keep this in check, right? We need to keep the money market in check. So this is in the context that we have got a fixed money supply, right? We have a fixed money supply. So if we have a fixed money supply and then for some reason income levels are high, right? If the income levels are high, it basically means the demand for money is going to be high as well, right? So how do we keep the demand in check? Then it's gonna be with high interest rates. So these high interest rates are basically there to cap the excess money supply, or to basically drain out the excess money supply in the market. So there's always gonna be that positive relationship there again. All right. And then again, here we talk about the balance of payment curve is also positively inclined because higher incomes and imports, right, obviously require higher interest rates. So it's also about keeping this in check, right? It's also about keeping this in check again, right? So obviously, if the incomes are higher and the imports are high, and you want to take down the imports to put it on equilibrium, then you want to take it down using your interest rates, taking your interest rates up and down. You see, that's fine. So what we basically want now, we want a policy that can raise income levels, right? But at the same time, keep us on a balance there. Keep us on a balance on that there. So this is the one that you get, I believe, should be the one that's following here. This is the graph that you have to draw. This one here. So let me explain what's happening here. So you want to increase, you want to basically increase your economy from 1,000 to 1.5 or to somewhere high, right? You basically want to take it high. Let's not start off with 1.5. Let's say you basically want to improve it, right? You want to increase your internal balances there, reducing domestic unemployment basically, but at the same time still on the BP curve, still on the BP curve. So any point that lies on the BP curve implies that our balance of payment is in equilibrium. Any point that lies on the IS curve means that our IS curve is on the equilibrium. Any point lying on the LM curve basically means our financial markets are in equilibrium, right there. Right. So macroeconomic policies can basically shift either the IS curve or the LM curve or both, right? You can do both. So which in this instance, it would be advisable to not just shift the IS curve, but to also deal with the LM curve so that there is a balance on the balance of payments. There's an equilibrium, sorry, on the balance of payments there. So let's just have a look and see how that works. So your IS curve, which is the goods market, if you want to shift your goods market in that direction, in terms of an increase in the GDP, you want to use an expansionary fiscal policy, which is what I think, excuse me, which is what Bilwenhle spoke about, right? She said you can put a fiscal policy. So fiscal policy will basically shift us from IS to IS1, right? But now if you realize one thing there, if nothing else changes, then this is where your IS curve is going to be intersecting your LM curve. It's there, right? And then, but it's no longer on your BP curve. So which means there's an there's a disequilibrium now in terms of your balance of payments. But the question wants an equilibrium in terms of we need to keep this in equilibrium. So which means what you can do from there is to look for a policy that can take your LM curve from LM to LM1 so that we have it lying there, right? So which means this is going to be our new intersection there where
going on here? Ntando.
The meeting. Okay.
Ntando.
Okay, I'm terribly sorry about this. We are almost done now. All right. So that's what you have there. So when you draw this now, remember the BP curve, right? Remember the BP curve. If you want to look at the gradient of the LM curve right there and the BP curve, so you'll realize that in this instance, the BP curve is slightly steeper than the LM curve, right? So you can basically start off with your IS and LM curve, then slightly above the LM curve, you can put up your BP curve, and then you can redraw these extra lines after the movement. Then I would love it again if you can show with the arrows, excuse me, with the arrows there in which direction this is moving. So I'm trying to be quick now. So you'll notice that the BP curve isn't shifting. right? Why is the BP curve not shifting? This is because we are assuming the exchange rates are fixed, right? We are assuming the exchange rates are fixed. So when the exchange rates are fixed, then the BP curve is not going to be shifting up and down. So I think if you remember from your second level, whenever there was a currency devaluation and the likes, all that was reflected as a shift in your BP curve. So here we are specifically referring to a fixed exchange rate. So in those circumstances, BP curve is going to remain fixed that way, right? So after you draw what you draw, you can then explain what I explained, right? But I'm gonna give that to you anyway. But then there's another situation here that I would want you to check out, right? Another situation that, okay, with this one here, I think this is just the same as what we were doing there, right? I don't see any difference there, all right? It's just the same thing. Okay, the situation where there are elastic capital flows on that one. So which means the BP curve is going to be a different slope in that regard. But I believe we are not dealing with this one now. I don't know how the lecturer is going to interpret this. But again, you could answer the same, so you could answer the question using basically policies, but now the policies are not exactly the same when the BP curve is elastic. So in this instance, when it's having quite when it's not steep, rather when it's flat, the way it is here. The major difference is gonna be if you look at the IS curves, right? The IS curves, the movement is still the same. You're moving in that direction. But when it comes to the LM curves, now it's moving in the opposite direction. If you remember first, it was moving in that other direction where when it wasn't really elastic, it was quite inelastic on the other side. So the movement is going to be quite different here. But from my interpretation of the question here, they are simply referring to, let's see, operates under a principle of free movement of capital. So in both instances, the capital movement is free. So it's just a matter of how free it is. So the other one is freer than the other, if I may say, in terms of elasticities. Right? But in both cases, they are both free. So the question does not necessarily talk about elastic capital flows. Right? It does not specifically refer to elastic capital flows, but capital flows in general, where there's free movement in general. So I believe then the correct option to take from this, from the ones that we have, would be the first one, right? Would basically be the first one. So maybe the lecturer is going to interpret it in another way, but I do think that should they want it to, if it's a situation where it's elastic, then they'll specifically mention that it is elastic. Then we know that when it comes to monetary policy, then we need to use an expansionary monetary policy instead of a restrictive one, right? So I'm gonna go with the first one, and I think let's go with the first one up until discussion day with the lecturer, and then from there we can see if there are any adjustments to make, but I doubt. So I'm gonna give this to you guys in today is Sunday. So by Tuesday, you guys are gonna be having this. So you have a lot of time to play around it. Okay. Now over to you guys. I don't know if you still have any questions. I don't know if you still have any questions on that one. Lineth, Mandy, and Matu, are you guys fine?
As for me,
Are you guys all
me,
right?
I'm
I'm
fine.
Yeah, we are fine, sir.
So you've got a lot of drawing to do, ne? You've got a lot of drawing to do, ne? So just go and check out these graphs. If you can, please just draw it and send it through to me so I can have a look and see. If, please start on, don't take this one, take the one that I referred to at first, all right? Let me see why under the principle of free movement with equilibrium in the balance of payments. You take the first one, the one that I referred to, because the starting point again here is an equilibrium on all cases. Right? Don't want to assume that equilibrium, right? It's not assumed anyway. So equilibrium means that it's gonna be on the BP curve and the LM curve and the IS curve. Then we want to put it on all those three curves again, but on the values of income. So that's notice where the starting point is on this one here. The starting point on this one is the balance on the balance on our balance. The starting point there is an external deficit. So that's not assumed in the question. I like to assume we are starting. All right. So if you can, please just draw it and you send me a picture. I would like to see how your drawing is. Then, yeah. If you have time, maybe you can, after the drawing, you can give me a call and then explain how you intend to show your movements in the graph, what policies you used. So I already gave you the policies here. So the fiscal policy is the one that's going to shift the IS curve to IS1, which is the expansion fiscal policy. And then the contractual restrictive fiscal policy, monetary policy is the one that LM curve. Back then, the balance of payments is not. Why? Because of the assumption that the exchange rate is fixed. Right? So if the exchange rate is low, then this can move up and down. Altogether. Right, so guys, if we don't have any questions, additions or subtractions, then I think we can call it a night. So the assignments.
This is alright.
Okay. Right. Bye and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Nintendo. Hello.
Yes, I'm here.
Are we supposed to conclude
Yes, I can
lesson
hear you.
3 next week? Seeing that we didn't do it today, you explain the assignment. We were supposed to do lesson 3 today. Do you remember?
Yeah, we'll conclude it next
Next week. Okay.
Yes.
Okay then.
Now I'm scared for the assignment. I don't want us to lag behind on the
To
assignment.
get burned, yeah, because the due date is it's Thursday.
Yes. Otherwise,
Okay.
we could